Hello, hi, and welcome to another episode of the Emma Gunn Show. If you are watching this on YouTube and you think I look startled, it is because I just recorded this. Everything looked as though it was working in terms of video, and then it didn't record. Or it just went, oh, sorry, we weren't looking. So I am a little bit startled and slightly annoyed, but no matter, let's get back into it. Because I was talking about the fact that the last time I spoke to you, I was very much into Notion. I wanted to get more organised, I wanted to be really efficient, and I had spent a lot of time at the beginning of the year within Notion. I almost became like the lawnmower man. I was in the app, I was in the blocks, I was watching YouTube videos, I was learning as much as I could because I wanted to have something that would give me a structure and also give me eyes on what I had done, what I wanted to do, and where my progress was with all of those things in between. And the truth of the matter is that it has been really useful, but I haven't looked at it for a couple of days, but I still have been quite efficient. And I can't really figure out what that means. Like I said, I'm using the diary, which I think is really good. But in terms of the Notion app itself, I set up a thing and it was like daily habits, supplements, workout, meditation. And I realized after 4 days, I don't need an app to tell me to do those things. I will do them. And if I forget to do them, I will get them done when I remember that I've forgotten, if that makes sense. So I thought, well, I don't need that. That can come out of there because that's already very much going on up here. The only time that things like supplements, meditation, and working out get thrown out of whack is when I'm traveling or when over Christmas, for example. That's when things will go out of whack. And as you know, I have been working out every day in December, so it didn't go out of whack in December in terms of workouts, and I remember to do all the other stuff. So Notion, it's very much, I think, and I don't know if anyone else has been experiencing this because I know quite a few of you also downloaded Notion, were quite interested in it. I think that it's easy to sort of overfill it with all these things that make you that you think the best version of you would do. But the truth of the matter is that it's you don't need all of it. You don't need that much. So that's where I've got with it. Because I'm like, actually, what I need is a timeline of. I need my diary. My diary needs to be efficient, and I quite like the fact I've color coded my diary. Like meetings are blue, meetings are purple, launches and events are blue, working out is yellow, orange is personal. Like that, I kind of like that. I like having a colourful visual landscape. But in terms of telling me what to do, I haven't needed it as much as I thought I would. So, for example, today I didn't follow any of the blocks. So I was supposed to do 3 hours of filming, then before that I was supposed to have some admin, then after the filming I was supposed to do some admin, then this afternoon we're supposed to be writing for Substack and then some more emails. But I had a meeting over Zoom this morning, so that kind of ate into some time. And then I wanted to do some other bits and I wanted to get a media pack together and a rate card, so I thought, well, that's a priority over the filming. It will all come into place, but the thing is that because I've decided to be more efficient and because I have decided to that there are certain things that I perhaps took my eye off the ball for and wanted to get done, I understand that they are going to take more effort in the next few weeks, and then they won't require any effort at all, really, because, for example, making a media pack, that needs to be completely right. I haven't done one for such a long time, but I want to get one that looks really professional, that's really robust and comprehensive. And I want it to look nice, so that means designing something. That means also, I sent it to a friend who said, let me help you rewrite your bio because it's a bit long. Because I've been doing what I've been doing for over 20 years and it's difficult to whittle it down. And so we're like, right, we might need several versions of this one to go out to this kind of company, so all of that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done now that once it's done, it won't need to be done again. So I'm aware that even though I've tried to put in this rigid structure, actually, it's been really helpful, but I don't need to be as prescriptive with it as perhaps I thought I needed to be. So that's where I'm going with this right now. Anyway, so Notion has been working. The diary has definitely been working, but yeah, I'm not so worried about the fact that I'm not ticking everything off in the sort of regimented way. So to that end, I have been talking a lot on my Instagram about working out. You see it every morning. We'll come back to that in a minute. And we have spoken a lot about great habits. I've spoken tons about habits on this podcast, but about things like drinking enough water, not drinking coffee, never going to happen. All of the things that you can do. And I think this time of year, this first half of January is so tough because we take a breakneck turn or like a hard right from one way of living, which is to be enjoying life. Throw caution to the wind, have the champagne, have the Yule log, have the quality street. We kind of go for it. And then the second that January hits, it's like, now we must restrict and we must always be in the gym and we must be thinking exclusively about six packs and about lowering our cholesterol and about being the best version of ourselves. And it's just too tough. And I think the day that I'm recording this, I think might be Blue Monday, or it might be next Monday. To be honest, I actually haven't been on social media today because it has been such a busy day. And normally this stuff is on social media, but Blue Monday is this idea that this month is like the halfway between the last payday and the next payday. It's January and it's cold and the weather's terrible and it's January, so it's bleak. I just don't subscribe to that at all. I really don't. And again, it's going from the Christmas version of you to the New Year, New You version of you, which you know I hate, to the, oh, and by the way, you're probably going to be miserable. Well, what about you're not? What about you think, great, I'm 2 weeks into a new year. I've made some really positive changes. I know it's a work in progress. I'm not going to give myself a hard time and I'm not going to suddenly decide that I'm depressed or down when just because I'm being told by social media that that might be happening today. It could be a bit like, oh God, this month feels like a bit of a slog, but it doesn't mean that we have to say, okay, I'm going to go home and have a bath, light a candle, eat fast food or whatever. I just find that whole thing quite annoying and silly, to be honest, because as I said, I have not made nearly as much headway as I was hoping to, especially by incorporating Notion into my life, but I have made positive changes. I am motivated. And in fact, before Christmas, I wasn't feeling motivated at all. And I went to go and see a friend at the weekend. And she said, come on, how's your mojo? Because she knew that last month I was really just like, oh, I give up. Everything just feels like, every door feels like it's locked. Every email feels like it's been unanswered. I just need to tap out. And she said, come on, where's your mojo? Is it back? And I said, yes, it is. It is back. But it's not a case of it was flicking a switch and it's on. It's just kind of because I am every day doing something towards something new, or I'm thinking, right, okay, I know I want to work with that brand, so I'm going to send that email, or I know I want to do this project, so I'm going to start now, or I know I want to do this thing, so I'm going to endeavour to do that. To that end, I did something last week that I didn't expect to do, wasn't anticipating at all, which is I started vlogging. Now, if you don't know what a vlog is a video diary. Not something I ever thought that I would do, not something I ever thought anybody would be interested in. It just kind of happened by accident, and partly because I've been writing a column on my Substack that goes live every Sunday for the last 4 or 5 months, or 6 months maybe, probably a bit longer. Anyway, and I usually announce it on Instagram with a carousel of images from that week. And that's been really nice. And just sort of, I suppose because I'm doing these podcasts in the way that I'm doing them now, which is just us chatting, me looking at the camera if you're on YouTube, or me just chatting to you about what's going on. I suppose I'm just a little bit more comfortable with that kind of thing. I think if you've been with the podcast for a long time, you'll know that I am a trained journalist, so I am a conduit to information. I am a conduit to an expert. I'm an interviewer. I am not the subject of the interview, although I have obviously been interviewed. I am the conduit to a particular topic or a particular whatever it might be. I am not the story. But recently, I suppose, I have made myself the story because it is about what I think and feel and what I'm wearing and what I'm doing and all that kind of jazz. And so I was getting ready to go out on Tuesday, and it was the first proper day out that I had in terms of work, like meetings, appointments and everything in the new year, because no one really seemed to come back in that first week. It was the 6th of January, that first Monday back, that the world seemed to fire up again. And I just was doing my makeup before I left the house on the Tuesday morning, and I had my phone in front of me, and I just thought, oh, I'll just say that I'm getting ready to go out because I'm excited because I'm going to go and see Lisa Eldridge, and then I'm going to go and catch up with the Joe Malone team. So I'll just do a little thing while I'm doing my makeup, just saying what I'm off to today. And I did. And then when I was out, I took the scenic route to my appointment, my first appointment, and I walked past Buckingham Palace, over the bridge, over the water in Kensington Gardens. And I did a little video saying, oh, I'm here. Look, Buckingham Palace behind me. It's so nice. It's scenic. It's cold. And if you go and watch that one, you can hear all of the Canadian geese that are squawking their heads off. There's beautiful swans. There's beautiful birds there. But there are also a ton of Canadian geese who make an absolute racket every time you walk through that park. But they're still quite lovely. And then I just sort of ended up doing that throughout the week. And I put it together, and it was, I don't know, 7.5-minute video, and just published it on Sunday evening. And I just thought, oh, we'll see what happens. And I received so many lovely messages from people saying, oh, more of this. Oh, I'd watch this every week. So I've just decided to, if I can, if I've got the bandwidth, if it's appropriate, I will do that. I will get out the camera and just film myself doing whatever it is that I'm doing when I'm doing it during the week. So today, Monday, has been a working from home day. I worked out first thing. I had some Zoom calls. I had to do my roots. I had to cover my grey. I had to do some other bits. So I just sort of filmed it. I've just done my workout, just doing my workout. Just had some calls. Now I'm going to do. So we'll see. We'll see. But it just sort of happened by accident. But again, as soon as I did it, somebody posted, oh, would you do this on YouTube? Filming on a phone in portrait and phoning on a film in landscape, two different things, and I'm not sure I want to carry two cameras around, but we'll see. It was only the first one, so let's see. But if that's the kind of thing that you want to see, then please do let me know. Now, I've talked loads about good habits, and I've talked loads about all of the things that you can be doing, and I think we've kind of covered a lot of the New Year stuff, and we've talked about being organised. But there's one thing I haven't spoken about for a little while, even though I know it's something I struggle with, and that is sleep. And I have pretty much come to understand that when it comes to sleep, I am not great at it. And what I mean by not great at it, I mean that for the second half of my cycle, I will usually wake up in the early hours of the morning, and my sleep will be interrupted, disturbed, all those sorts of things. And actually what has happened, and it happened loads in December, is I wake up to a point where I'm awake. And then I love Bravo, I love reality TV. So what I was doing was I was turning on the television, and I was seeing if the latest episode of The Real Housewives of wherever had dropped. And if it had dropped into the feed, and actually last year it was dropping in at like 1, 2 a.m., I would then turn on the TV, turn the brightness right down, play the episode with my eyes closed, and I'd listen. And I'd usually listen to a good 50% of the episode, and by the end of it I'd be asleep. And then in the next evening I would then watch the full episode and find it and be like, oh yeah, I remember some of this. But that's a really bad habit that I didn't want to continue. And so one of the things that I saw towards the end of last year, my friend Sam Chapman had talked about it on her stories a few times, and the first time I'd seen her post about it, I said to her, oh, I'm going to need that, aren't I? And she said, Ems, it's so good. And then I hadn't done anything about it. And then I saw her post again just before Christmas. And I said, right, that's it, I'm doing it. Which one did you get? Did you get a fancy one? And she said, no, just got the most basic version. So if you're watching on YouTube, you will have the added benefit of seeing what I'm talking about. So I'm talking about the Snoozeband. Now, as somebody who can very easily wake up and then turn the television on and listen to things, what the Snoozeband is really good for is covering your eyes and allowing you to listen to something. Because if you're looking here, it looks like a headband, looks like an ordinary, just stretchy headband on one side. And then on the other side, you've got a little console on the front where you turn on, it pairs with your device via Bluetooth. You've got volume controls. And then you can also use the plus volume control to double tap that, and it turns off automatically in an hour, and you double tap it again, it turns off automatically in 2 hours. And then when you turn it over, you've got these little pockets, and these have got flat headphones in. So what you can do, and if you're on YouTube, you'll be able to enjoy this. Let's make sure it doesn't muck my makeup up. But you put that over your eyes as a sleep mask. You position the earphones over your ears, and you can listen to something that will entertain you or maybe lull you to sleep. And it has been an absolute game changer. It's not stopping me from waking up, because I still wake up, as I said. My sleep has always been quite interrupted during the second half of my cycle, during the luteal phase. But this is something that stops me turning on the television. But equally, it is something that I now have found that I will get into bed. I've started using YouTube as my most used streaming service. I just have to tell you this. I will go onto YouTube in the evening. As you know, I use YouTube for my workouts, but when I go in the evening, it will show me like Demi Moore on Stephen Colbert or so-and-so on Jimmy Kimmel. And I think, oh yeah, I can watch a 12-minute video before I go to bed. So I watch that, then I'll turn the television off, then I will put this on. And I love my podcasts. I love The Rest is Politics. I love The Rest is Politics US, The Daily Tea. I've started listening to Planet Normal. What's the other one that I listen to? I missed one out. Rest is Politics. Oh, The News Agents. And if I haven't caught up with one of those yet, and I'm not sleepy, I will put one of those on, put the sleep timer on, and listen to that before I go to sleep. And genuinely, it has been an absolute revelation. I enjoy it so, so much. And it is that thing that when I do wake up at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, I will just, because inevitably this will have come off, I will slip this back on, and then maybe that's when I'll grab my phone and just put on something like binaural beats for meditation and sleep. And it's just that sort of white noise, and that will help me get back to sleep. And again, I bought the cheapest one. There are other options that are slightly more cushioned. They've got some with Velcro that you can do up. This is, as I say, like a stretchy headband. There are lots of different choices, but I am so impressed with this. And you just take all the componentry out of the little pockets when you need to wash it, and then you just run it through. I mean, I've been hand washing mine, to be honest, with gentle hand wash because it sits on my face. But that's my own choice. That's something that I've chosen to do. But it's so handy. And the one thing I'll say about this is delivery is really quick. I ordered mine before Christmas, but thought I had ordered it at the wrong time and would get it later than Christmas. And it arrived within 48 hours, which was a complete surprise and delight. And the other thing is that I bought two because they had a Christmas offer, and I bought one and then gave the other one to my brother, because when I showed him mine, he was like, well, that's really good. I thought, do you want another one? Or do you want another one? I've got one. And so he's had that. But my one was a bit glitchy. And I'd messaged them a few times. I said, oh, it's not working in the same way as the other one. And they gave me a few things to troubleshoot. And then after a while, I said, okay. And then it worked, and then it didn't. And basically, to cut a long story short, I went back to them and said, look, I am really sorry. It's still really glitchy. Is it okay to get a replacement? And they sent that out, and it arrived within 48 hours. I was so impressed. So if you are interested in anything that might help with your sleep, I do think the Snoozeband is really good. And also I think it's amazing for travel if you just want to block out the world and listen to something. Because last time I went on holiday, last summer, again, my sleep wasn't particularly brilliant. And I took with me, rather than my AirPods, because obviously they run out of charge, I took wired headphones and plugged it into my iPhone at night when I couldn't sleep. And it is so uncomfortable. You wake up in the morning, and if they've fallen out of your ears and they're in your face and they've left an indent, it's so awful. None of that with this. It's a very, very clever way to listen to stuff at night in a way that's just completely comfortable, whether you're a side sleeper or whether you sleep on your back or whether you're a front sleeper. I cannot recommend this enough, and I do think they're quite reasonably priced in comparison to other options, and also just so, so comfortable. So again, if you're on YouTube, you've probably been watching me play with it for the last however long, but it's really, really good. And I'll put all of the links in the show notes, underneath the video, wherever, because I do think it's really brilliant. Now, the other thing I wanted to tell you about, and as you know, I've recorded this episode twice, so forgive me for what you're about to see on YouTube, but I talked about vlogging, and I talked about the fact that I had gone to a Lisa Eldridge launch, and I was excited to go to that. So in the first time I recorded this episode, I used Lisa's new concealer on a little spot that came up at the weekend, and I showed you how effective it was. So I've just had to use a microfiber cloth to remove that. So if you are watching on YouTube, you can see I've got a little red spot. It's one of those spots that there's nothing to it. It's just a red. It's slightly raised and there's redness, but there's nothing in it. It's not going to produce anything. But this I thought was a really good way of demoing Lisa's product, because Lisa has a very specific way of applying concealer. I've seen her do makeup, and she's got a very feather-like touch, and she's also very intentional. She's not the sort of person who'll put makeup everywhere and then build back the face and the facial structure. Like, I mean, when I think about that, I think about Kevin O'Quan, who had the most incredible technique of almost like putting the most incredible base on, but then putting in the cheekbones and sort of restructuring the face using makeup, which is an incredible skill within itself. But what I really love about this, I think that this is a new version of no makeup makeup. No makeup makeup has always traditionally been about light coverage foundations or tinted moisturizers, or those almost sort of hybrid skincare pigmented products. I'm thinking, of course, of something like Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, which gives you some coverage and a really beautiful glow, but isn't a foundation. But it's all over. And what this does is it allows you to go in and spot correct. Now you might say to me, Emma, you can do that with any makeup, you can do it with any concealer, and there's an element of truth in that. But the fact is that the way that we do this no makeup makeup is very much to put it everywhere and hope that that sort of mask is sufficient. What this does is, I'm wearing makeup, I'm wearing foundation, I'm wearing bronzer. That was obviously reason. But what this does, it allows you to just go in, and if I didn't have any makeup on at all, you just kind of colour around the blemish or the pigmentation. I warm it in with my fingertip because it's so creamy, but it then sets and it lasts really well. If you watch me take it off, I had to use brute force. And then go back in over the top. I mean, this is like an eyeliner pencil, by the way. It's so thin. And then you just go back in and just keep passing over the top. And what that does is it completely sets. You see how it's gone from being a pink mark on my chin to there being nothing there. And it's just, and obviously I'm not as close to my mirror as I would like to be. I could be making a hash of this, but in terms of on camera, it has gone. I think this is a really interesting innovation because there aren't many products out there that make you completely change how you use makeup. And it's not just about how you use makeup, it's about changing the lens through which you look at your skin. And I do think that, like I said, we do tinted moisturizers, we do these tinted, slightly pigmented products. But when it comes to actually thinking, okay, no, I'm going to let my skin completely show through, I'm just going to take out whether it's a bit of discoloration around my eye or a bit of redness around my nose or a little bit of whatever on my chin. The fact that you can go in and be so specific, I think, is a wonderful and brilliant innovation, and it's so apt that it comes from Lisa because of her technique. If you haven't watched her, I will put the link actually in the show notes to her YouTube video where she introduces this pencil, because I think it gives you a really good idea of what it can achieve and is a much better demonstration than what I've just done there. But it's really marvellous, and I'm really glad. I was really glad to chat to Lisa about it as well, because every time she comes out with something, it's just so wonderful and so different. Oh, that reminds me. I saw that Katie Jane Hughes was also in London, and she was at the same event I went to, but we were there at different times. And she's got this brilliant thing on her brand at the moment, KJH brand, which you know I love, the soft smudge sticks. I have it in raisin, soft raisin and soft coral. They've got this brilliant, this is kind of beside the point, but they have a trio pack. So there are 5 shades and you can choose whichever 3 colours you want. I think it's £52. And I was like, oh, I must go and get that and get the 3 colours I don't have, which I think is a berry, a tomato and a pink. Because at the moment, and don't forget, Katie Jane Hughes, KJH brand, is not a huge brand. It's not a big conglomerate. It's not an Estee Lauder. It's not a L'Oreal. They are donating 15%, or they were donating 15% of their sales to the fire victims of the people who, oh God, the fires in LA have just been horrendous to watch. To anyone affected by that, which I just thought was a really wonderful thing for that brand to do. So there we go. Now, I'm very mindful of the fact that this didn't record the first time, so rather than keep you for much longer, and because I will literally cry big puddles of tears if this hasn't recorded, I will stop here. I will put everything that I've spoken about in the show notes and under the video. I will also be sharing a bit more about my fitness. As I said, I've been sharing all of the workout videos I've been doing every single day on my Instagram. People have been asking me for links to the Pilates and strength accounts on YouTube. I haven't done any of them yet, but after this I'm actually going to sit down, plan which ones I'm going to do and do them over the course of the next couple of weeks, and then I'll be able to update you on all of those. But I've had such incredible feedback on my Instagram, because every day when I work out I put the link to what I've done, and the feedback and just the general thank you for doing this has been really wonderful. So if you want to see more of that, please do let me know. And you can let me know what you want to see more of via email, office@emmaguns.com. If you're watching on YouTube, you can comment underneath this video. If you are listening on the podcast, you can comment if you are listening on Spotify on this episode, or you can email me, office@emmaguns.com, or you can go to Instagram where I'm at @emmaguns. DM does seem to be a really efficient way for me to interact with listeners, so if that's your preferred method, then I will get back to you, I assure you. Anyway, I'm very mindful of the fact that this went wrong and I'm not sure why, so I'm going to end it there, and I will be back on bullet points. But the other thing that I did say in the last episode that I haven't said here is that I'll probably do an Ask Me Anything on Instagram, and I will come over and discuss those answers with you here in a slightly longer form. So I'll do an Ask Me Anything probably tomorrow on Instagram, and then I will collate all the questions and answer them here. So if you want to ask me anything, you can do it by any of the means that I've just said. But if you see that box go up on Instagram and you think, oh, I'll ask her there, ask me there, because that will be a really efficient way to get it featured on the show. Anyway, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. I will see you on the next one.